It is a wonder how a good book can enhance the life of a reader, even more still if it manages to enhance the season the reader finds themselves in. To those of you who are in the Northern Hemisphere and in the midst of winter, I have put together a small list of 12 classic books that are the perfect reads for this frosty season. Number 1. The Sittaford Mystery by Agatha Christie. The Sittaford Mystery by Agatha Christie, first published in the US in 1931, is a wintry standalone novel by the famed novelist. The story unfolds as a séance occurs on a snowy night at the isolated Sittaford house. Eventually, a spirit communicates to the guests that a friend, Captain Trevelyan, is dead, spelling out the word murder on the table. Major Burnaby, a friend of the captain, is spooked and decides to go to the village on foot in a snowstorm to check on Trevelyan. Burnaby, along with a police inspector, arrives at Captain Trevelyan's house, where they find him dead on the floor. The book is a snow-filled murder mystery full of ingenious twists and turns by the Queen of Crime. Number 2. Boule de Suif by Guy de Maupassant. Guy de Maupassant's short story, Boule de Suif, takes place during the winter of 1870, during the Franco-Prussian War, when the city of Rouen in Normandy was invaded by the Prussians. To escape the occupation, 10 people take the stagecoach from Dieppe as thick snow covers the ground. The travelers include a prostitute named Boule de Suif, a shop-owning couple, the Comte and Comtesse of Bréville, a wealthy factory owner, his wife, and 2 nuns. On the difficult journey, the travelers eventually stop for the night at an inn in Tot, occupied by the Prussians. Before they can leave, the traveling group, acting as a microcosm of French society during the late 19th century, are blackmailed by a Prussian officer who will only let them leave once Boule de Suif sleeps with him. The story is an exposition in class conflict, as Boule de Suif is initially snubbed by her fellow passengers and society. Number 3. Precious Bane by Mary Webb. Precious Bane is a historical romance novel by Mary Webb published in 1924, set in Shropshire during the Napoleonic Wars. The protagonist, Prue Sarn, narrates the story and suffers self-consciousness due to her cleft lip, not trusting that the weaver, Kester Woodsieves, sees her beauty, her disfigurement even making some of the villagers suspect that Prue is a witch. After her father dies of a stroke, Prue's brother, Gideon, takes over the farm and works to generate great wealth so that he may marry the woman he loves. Prue works to help Gideon on the farm in his pursuit of wealth, as her brother has promised that he may eventually be able to pay to have her disfigurement corrected. The novel captures the beauty of rural life in the descriptions of pre-industrial life and in the changing of the seasons. This book is a perfect winter read not only because the novel's timeline goes through Christmas and New Year's, but also because of the splendid descriptions of winter scenes. Number 4. The Children of Green Knowe by Lucy M. Boston. The Children of Green Knowe from 1954 is the first of Lucy M. Boston's Green Knowe series of children's novels that feature the old house, Green Knowe, which was inspired by Boston's own home, the manor in Hemmingford Grave. Our main character is Tolly, who stays at a boarding school but is taken to Green Knowe by his great-grandmother for the Christmas holidays. In the first novel, the young boy Tolly visits the magical house that had been inhabited by his ancestors all the way back to the Norman conquest. The rain present in the first chapters eventually turns to snow, and Tolly is mesmerized by the winter scenery as he explores the Green Knowe house and gardens, eventually meeting the ghosts of 3 children from the past, Toby, Alexander, and Lynette. Tolly and the ghosts get along as he has always longed for a family and siblings of his own. Number 5. Orlando by Virginia Woolf. In the 1928 novel by Virginia Woolf, Orlando was born as a male nobleman in England during the reign of Elizabeth I. He undergoes a mysterious change of sex at the age of about 30 and lives on for more than 300 years without aging. The novel's wintry scenes are due to Woolf's weaving into the story of the real event of the Great Frost of 1608, which appears early on in the novel. In the novel, a carnival occurs on the frozen river, and it is while figure skating that Orlando gets close to the Russian princess he calls Sasha, the pair eventually becoming lovers. Number 6. The Nine Tailors by Dorothy L. Sayers. The Nine Tailors is a 1934 mystery novel by the British writer Dorothy L. Sayers. The story is set in the Lincolnshire Fens and revolves around a group of bell ringers at the local church. The mystery involves an unknown body which has been disfigured and mysteriously buried in the same grave as a local woman shortly after the new year. Many years before, a magnificent necklace of emeralds was stolen and never found. Lord Peter Wimsey, accompanied by his man Bunter, becomes involved in the investigation of the unknown body and the two suspects involved in the theft of the emeralds. The novel opens as Lord Peter, whilst traveling by car on a snowy winter's eve just before New Year's, gets his car stuck in a ditch close to the remote village of Fenchurch St. Paul. After the local rector offers accommodation for Lord Peter, he agrees to substitute for an indisposed bell ringer to help the rector in his attempt to set a record of more than 18,000 rings in 9 hours as a New Year's Eve celebration, and the bells play an ingenious part of the mystery. Number 7. A Girl in Winter by Philip Larkin. It is the first part of A Girl in Winter by Philip Larkin, published in 1947, that makes this novel a wintry, isolating read. Part 1 takes place during one harsh winter's day in wartime England and centers around Catherine Lind, who is a refugee. Catherine's home country is never specified, though she might be Danish or probably German, possibly Jewish or of part Jewish heritage. Catherine works as a library assistant, and Larkin explores Catherine's existence with nuance and bleakness, concluding his novel on a bleak note in opposition to his lovely and poetic prose. Number 8. The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann, first published in German in 1924, tells the story of Hans Castorp, a young German engineer who goes to visit a cousin in a tuberculosis sanatorium in the mountains of Davos, Switzerland. Though Hans intends to stay for only a few weeks, he discovers that he has symptoms of the disease and remains at the sanatorium for 7 years until the outbreak of World War I. This hazardous stay at the sanatorium sees Hans talking with other patients, and he gradually becomes aware of and absorbs the predominant political, cultural, and scientific ideas of 20th century Europe. From the learned, disturbed, and depressed residents, Hans learns about illness, death, and the human condition. Residents' dignity in the face of suffering instills a respect for grief in the young man, who is also involved in discussions of philosophy, social theories, and human consciousness. Number 9. Winter at Thrush Green by Miss Reed. Dora Jessie Saint, known by the pen name Miss Reed, published Winter in Thrush Green, the second book in her Thrush Green series, in 1961. After an empty house is purchased in the village of Thrush Green, the new owner, a single man, moves in and intrigues the other villagers, as this village is dominated by couples and spinsters. There are 2 love affairs that unfold, and a violent crime shakes the residents of the village. But Miss Reed displays her characters as understanding the responsibilities of being part of a community. The book starts in autumn and goes on through the beginning and end of winter, and is truly a cozy winter read. Number 10. Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. Ethan Frome, published in 1911 by American author Edith Wharton, is a classic novella of forbidden emotions and sexual undercurrents. Ethan Frome is set in the rural town of Starkfield and wonderfully depicts winter in New England. The main character, Ethan Frome, has a farm that he struggles to maintain and also struggles with his hypochondriac wife, Zena. Ethan becomes obsessed with Zena's cousin, Maddie, who is hired to help around the house. One of Wharton's finest and intense narratives, the story includes themes of social constraint and moral concerns battling with individual desire. The winter season symbolizing loneliness and immobility for Ethan, who is torn between honoring his wife and honoring his own feelings for Maddie. Number 11. Sylvester by Georgette Heyer. Georgette Heyer's 1957 Regency romance novel focuses on the Duke of Salford, or Sylvester, who becomes aware of Phoebe after her grandmother tells him of her unmarried granddaughter. Sylvester runs off to meet Phoebe, but is unaware that Phoebe is parodying him as a villain in the book she intends to publish. Accusations are made both by Phoebe and Sylvester to one another, while the town runs rampant in all kinds of gossip. The novel is pure fun and is set during the colder months of the year. Number 12. The Snow Goose by Paul Gallico. Paul Gallico's 1940 novel, The Snow Goose, is set against the backdrop of World War II and opens in the year 1930. The main character, Philip Rader, is a painter that lives in an abandoned lighthouse on the marshlands of the Essex coast. As he isolates himself from the society that has been unkind to him due to his physical deformities, he spends his time sailing, painting, and providing sanctuary to birds during the harsh winters. When Frith, a young girl from a local village, appears at his door with an injured snow goose, Philip cares for it, nursing it back to health, which starts a yearly tradition as, along with the goose's return in October, so does Frith return. The friendship between both characters grows over the years as both experience loneliness and share a love for nature. The novel is an incredible story about loneliness, friendship, and sacrifice.